Hello, one and all. Welcome to another episode of the A2theK Wrestling Show. You might be wondering, where's the A2theK little known fact of the week? Well, we changed up some things.
Yeah. Now you have to listen to This Week in Wrestling if you want that little fact. If you want a little nugget.
That's how we get you to listen to that. We kid. No, if you haven't checked it out yet, we have changed up the format a little bit. So we encourage you, go and check it out. Hear a wonderful fun fact about the madman that is Nick Gage and him dying for several minutes. But
I'll spoil it.
Well, you know.
Or did he?
Find out. But yeah, so you're not getting that anymore, are you? So gutted. But that's because you get amazing news and reports on this segment as it is. Of which, Anthony, do you want to run the people through?
Of course, Carl. Have I got some news for you? So this week, Carl, we're going to be talking about the fact that the biggest one, let's be honest, Bray Wyatt has been released from the WWE.
Damn.
What is going on? We've also got, apparently, WWE may be responsible for the Domino's Pizza news story, which, if you don't know, we will explain, but happened during the death match on Dynamite, let's say. We have AEW trademarking King of Hearts. We have Kurt Angle claiming to have turned down offers from both AEW and Impact Wrestling. We have The Rock giving credit to Bret Hart. We have Natalya undergoing ankle surgery. I don't know if it was successful or not, presumably so. We have Hangman Adam Page not booked for All Out. We have Serena Deeb apparently re-injured but is teasing a return at All Out. We have Adam Cole's contract expiring out of nowhere. We have Paige potentially able to return to in-ring action. And we lastly, again, in other shock, crazy things in WWE this week, Ric Flair has been granted his WWE release. That's the headlines, Carl. So shall we start with the biggest and most talked about one, the one that's upset everyone so much, understandably so, by the way, with Bray Wyatt being released from the WWE, Carl. Do you want to tell us all what the fuck has happened? What's going on?
Yowie, wowie.
Explain yourself, Carl.
I wish I could. I honestly wish I could. I wish I could even begin to fathom what they're thinking. But yeah, we found out a couple of days ago that Bray Wyatt has been released by WWE. There was not much known at the time. There was a lot of speculation about Bray. He hadn't been on TV since WrestleMania or the Raw after WrestleMania, basically. And so obviously a lot of people were speculating about his mental health and other kind of reasons why he could be off TV. And then this release has just kind of come out of nowhere. So not much was said at the time, but then it's since been revealed that it's supposedly due to budget cuts. So not that he's requested it, not due to anything else, but
it makes a bit of sense because they were starting to. Wasn't he like listed on a card for? I want to say maybe just a standard Raw.
Yeah.
Or something, but wasn't he? So it does seem rather strange that they would advertise him for anything, and then like you say, it's a mutual thing. Yeah, really weird.
I mean, it's bizarre, isn't it? A lot of people, Bray and the Fiend particularly, it's so weird because it's people either loved it or hated it, and anyone you ask about Bray Wyatt, you've either got people who are going, "I'm so shocked, he is creatively brilliant, and he was one of the best things about the product," or you've got people who were just like, "Oh, he hasn't had a good match since Daniel Bryan." So you've kind of got that two aspects to it,
I find it fascinating that people because obviously people have gone, why would WWE release him? And no matter what way you look at it, from my perspective, it's baffling. It's a baffling choice, right? And so many people are like, the twisting and turning so much to defend WWE's position that it doesn't make any sense. And it's like, well, of course you're going to release him. He hasn't wrestled a match since X, Y, and Z. Or, he was suffering depression, so, he wanted to be released. And it's like, I'm not being funny. Most companies worth their salt, if you were struggling with the loss of a really close friend like Bray was, and that was of being off, they wouldn't sack him while he's off. That's ridiculous, right? So even that to me is bullshit. If there's any sort of thing like, oh, he's not wrestled a match since then, it's like, I'm not being funny. They don't, WWE, we know they don't really care about how many matches you wrestle, otherwise we wouldn't have Goldberg or John Cena. Like, this guy was the closest thing they had to an actual legitimate star of this era. Like he was a merch seller. He was selling custom belts. He was selling masks. He was selling shirts. He was fucking making them money.
He was their top merch seller, Anthony,
behind Bad Bunny apparently. And I just
Yeah.
can't fathom why you'd get rid of money. I
that's
don't
what-
get it. Like, why wouldn't you look after him until he can come back? Because now, no matter what way, even if they're like, oh yeah, he wanted his release, like WWE are not, like, all due respect to them, it's a business at the end of the day, and they wouldn't grant him his release. Like, if let's say he asked for it, knowing that he could end up when he's in a position to do so with another company.
That's what's
They would
baffling
want
to
to
me.
secure him. That's the bit I don't get. No matter what way you try and spin it, that WWE aren't assholes. Like, it doesn't make sense. Even if you're trying to paint them as the nice guys, like, why would they do that? It from a business point of view, it's just totally baffling.
Yeah, I mean, it makes no sense that they would release him for budgetary reasons when he is their top merch seller. Like, that just doesn't seem to add up. But at the same time, I don't think anyone really knows the reasons or rationale behind it. I think, all remains to be seen in terms of what is next for him. Will he rock up somewhere else, a different promotion? Will he go to AEW? Who knows? But yeah, for me, and I'm sure for you as well, just as fans of the WWE product, it's a big loss because there was a time there where the Fiend was the best thing about that show, and they've basically taken his gimmick, they stripped it off him, give it to Alexa, and then just kicked him out the door. So
yeah, and the thing is, like, Alexa doesn't deserve the hate she's getting because she's getting some connection with that now, and she's going, oh yeah, like it's in somehow her fault. She's working with what she's been given. Like, they made the choice to do what they've done, in terms of putting that gimmick on her. And I'm sure, I don't even think Bray had an issue with it at the time. I just don't think he expected to be totally released.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure whether it's now since changed or whether it's even true, but I believe Alexa's Twitter was getting just filled with like hate messages and saying, oh, she's the reason and this, that, and the other. And I think she might have even had to lock it for a certain period of time
to
prevent that.
I think it is open again now, but I think you're right. Certainly from what I read, that she had to sort of lock it down for a little bit. But it's ridiculous. I mean, let's face it, it was always going to happen in a way because the fans are just like that, sadly. Like, to the point when Daniel Bryan was looking at potentially working for another company, let's just go and threaten him. It's just fucking ridiculous sometimes. But yeah, it's such a baffling decision, and I genuinely, I want to see Bray back in the business. I hope this isn't him done with it. A lot of people have speculated that because obviously, his dad was released by WWE, his brother was released by WWE, and Bo Dallas, apologies because I don't know his real name, he is done with the business. He's quite happily retired, and a lot of people are saying, like, well, if he's looking at his brother and his brother's happy not in the industry and away from it all, that might be what he's after. And
well, I believe what came to light.
Selfish, but I don't want Bray to leave.
No. I believe what came to light as well is apparently quietly around 7 or 8 months ago, his wife or his girlfriend, I'm not too sure, but JoJo, obviously the mother of his child, was quietly released as well from the company.
Really?
So she's no longer with them. So yeah,
so they've just cut the entire
Rotunda family.
Thank you, Rotunda family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Strange.
That's crazy.
Strange one, but yeah, I agree with you. I hope we get to see him again. I'd love to see him in AW, of course, because obviously it's a product that we watch, on a weekly basis, and I think he could add a lot of value there. But yeah, it remains to see what type of character he'll bring over there. I can't imagine it's obviously going to be the Fiend, because licensing reasons and whatnot. But will it be something completely new again? Will it be similar to the original, Fireflies kind of Bray Wyatt? Who knows? So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so sort of sad news no matter what way you look at it, and hopefully, again, we're not done with Bray and we see him in the business in some capacity. So this next one, Carl, I'm afraid I'm going to need you to put your tinfoil hat on if you don't mind, because this is some conspiracy level shit right here. So obviously, during Dynamite, we had this death match between Nick Gage and Chris Jericho. During the death match, we obviously saw the spot with the pizza cutter, which is almost becoming infamous, this spot. And the advertise, or whoever was control of the advert at the time, timed it to perfection so that when the pizza cutter spot was being done on Jericho's forehead, it just cut to a little ad for Domino's Pizza when picture in picture with it, and apparently Domino's Pizza were none too happy about it, and they didn't want to be involved with it. And there's all this controversy and suggestion that there might be, trying to pull away from any sort of partnership with AEW and so on like that. And here's where your tinfoil hat comes in, Carl, because the rumor has it is that WWE might have been at the root of the reasons for this story being put out there with the controversy around it and so on. And people are echoing like tactics they used to use with WCW apparently back in the day when they'd try and put some sort of false news out there. So we're actually not even sure how true any of the controversy, whether it's as controversial as they're making it out to be, or whether this is just an agenda WWE are pushing to cause a bit of concern over death matches and over the hardcore elements of AEW and the matches they're putting on at the moment. Now, don't be wrong, I would not be surprised if this ended up being true, but it does feel like a bit of a conspiracy theory kind of thing. What do you make of it all?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think if WWE have actually gone out there, and because I mean, they have said the person who was responsible for writing the main article that got all the traction has never written an article about AEW before, but has written kind of pieces about WWE and kind of,
and they've
praising
always
them.
Been positive as well.
Yeah. So obviously, I don't know whether someone's put 2 and 2 together and got 5 or what, or whether there is actual stuff behind this. But yeah, I mean, I think that would be super petty, wouldn't it? For a company who doesn't apparently care. You had Vince McMahon on the investor call not too long ago saying, a very strange thing of like, oh, maybe we should give them some more talent. And the next minute you get like Bray Wyatt released. So yeah,
he's don't give him your best talent, Vince.
So it's like, he's making out like he doesn't really see them as competition because they're a wrestling business, and WWE, they're not, are they? They're an entertainment business. So
we make movies.
We make movies, pal. So yeah, I don't know. I think if they have done that, then wow, they are clearly shitting themselves about AEW. But
I think it's fascinating that like even everyone jumps on the Vince McMahon approach on Twitter and say, oh yeah, like the WWE, they don't even care about AEW, the $1 billion company, they're not even a threat to them, blah blah. And it's like, how you keep threats away? You acknowledge potential threats. Like if Vince is a shrewd enough businessman as he should be well aware of AEW and keep an eye on them. I don't care whether you class that as threatened or not. Like anything he does reactionary to AEW, I wouldn't blame him for, because it's like, well, they are the closest thing to a threat he has. So whether he wants to acknowledge it or not, you're like, unless you're going to wait until there's an actual problem, of course you're going to try and do something.
I mean, we are talking about the same guy who let Hogan, Savage, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall all jump ship. And yeah, ultimately led to WWE getting their ass kicked for 97 weeks. So, yeah.
And to be honest, like, the only reason they really lost was apparently some really poor budgetary decisions on WCW's part.
True. I think it's actually
well enough, but
I think it's actually 83 weeks, isn't it? Obviously, going off Bischoff's podcast. But could have been 97 weeks. Maybe it's not straight.
Could have been.
But yeah, so I don't know. Is my answer to the question? I think, who knows? Maybe Domino's secretly loved the idea, and they planned for the pizza spot to be the mid pizza cutter, and then only they'd have to save face. But
someone, and in fact, I wish I'd have saved it and sort of credited them properly here, but someone actually responded to the someone like on Twitter responded to the Domino's spot, and that someone put up the clip, and they actually said that they work for a TV station, and whilst companies can ask for adverts and they can ask for them at certain ad breaks, they can't really control the order. Like that's not how it works. So like this was like a tech person who's deciding what order these ads play at that particular point. So it doesn't sound like it was deliberately timed by any means, unless it was just that individual person at the time thought, oh, that'll be funny. Do you know what I mean? Like it was never going to be a Domino's thing. It's just they've bought some ad space during Dynamite. So like the positioning was purely down to the whatever tech was running the channel by all accounts. And he did explain sort of how it works, because that's essentially what this fella does for a job. And I wish I could have credited him, but it was something I read and never sort of saved. But interestingly, I don't think it was anything more than just someone going, oh, that'd be funny, I'm going to put that there.
Well, yeah, legend, whoever that was.
Look what you've done.
I mean, yeah, it made me want to buy more Domino's, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
So, speaking of AEW, a very interesting one from the trademark side of things. So AEW have filed the trademark for King of Hearts, spelt obviously Hart. So it is interesting. Obviously, they have Julia Hart in the ranks, but I don't think that necessarily fits related to her. So obviously, a lot of speculation around, well, who used to be known as the King of Hearts? Obviously, the late great Owen Hart. So yeah, people are now kind of speculating. Does that mean AEW are planning to do something with Owen Hart in terms of, potentially putting him in a future video game, doing some kind of documentary or package on him? I think Chris Jericho was quoted sometime last year saying he would love for AEW to be able to work with Martha, who's obviously Owen's widow, on basically doing something to be able to honour Owen and how his spirit kind of lives on in the company. It
really wouldn't surprise me, because like I'm right in saying it was Bret who unveiled the AEW title as well, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So like Bret's sort of connected enough with AEW. I know he's not like with AEW, like he'd certainly turn up for some stuff as well.
Well, it's a really difficult one, obviously, with anything to do with Owen Hart. I mean, obviously Martha absolutely hates the WWE for what happened, and that's why he's not in the Hall of Fame. That's why he isn't in any video games, anything like that. They can't even use anything to do with Owen Hart in that company. And I know Bret's been quite outspoken, saying like, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and we need to just let it happen, stuff like that. But Martha's been very much sticking to her guns. But
it'd be interesting because obviously he loves Owen, as you would. But be interesting though if they can honour him in some way. That it's not going to be WWE Hall of Fame. I'm not even going to try and start that argument with people. But if they can honour Owen in a way that he deserves, because obviously that is still a sticking point for Martha, then I could see Bret being all for that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure Bret would be.
A lot of old school people in the biz who are now running this company. Do you know what I mean? Like the respect is there.
Yeah, definitely. And I think obviously Martha has recently kind of come to the idea of bringing out some Owen Hart merch and stuff like that, and start to get some stuff out there again. But another interesting theory I saw somewhere, and again I can't remember who it was who said it, but of basically saying maybe a King of the Ring style tournament, potentially at like a Double or Nothing type event.
And so do like a King of Hearts tournament.
Yeah, obviously would fit in with like the Double or Nothing kind of, casino theme, wouldn't it? So I mean, I think that would be a great idea. I think it's better than fighting for a giant bloody, poker chip on a ladder. Which I thought was a bit
giant
goofy,
brass ring.
So yeah, who knows?
Still pissed off about that.
But
I like it AEW, but that was still fucking stupid.
Yeah, but yeah, so I don't know. I think very interesting, and I'm excited, I guess, and intrigued to see what comes of it. Obviously, Owen Hart was a legend, and he's a fantastic legacy that needs to be honoured. So interested to see what that might be.
Oh yeah, definitely. So it's exciting stuff. So the next one, Carl, I've got Kurt Angle. Now, Kurt Angle, very recently, I'm trying to remember who he was speaking to now. He was on a podcast that wasn't ours, not bitter about it at all. No, he was speaking, he was on an interview with Fightful, and they were talking about the offers from other companies and his retirement match in WWE and so on. Actually revealed anything. And he said that's essentially he said himself banged up. He just can't. He's 52 years old life and trying to live less pain. Now he's in a lot of pain. So it's just not an option for him. And this is like apparent by all accounts. Like AEW wanted I think about 7 matches out of him, but TNA they just wanted to do almost one like final match with them, like almost a retirement match. Of sorts. I know obviously technically there is retirement matches with WWE, but he had a long time in Impact. He was a big player in Impact when Impact were probably at their peak. So in some ways it would have been quite poetic to have at least one more match in Impact. But yeah, by all accounts, it's not on his agenda at all. Understandably as well, he's put his time in, and I totally get that. Why risk anything more now when he can just enjoy life and still enjoy wrestling? The bottom line of it.
Mm. Yeah, it's one of them. I think he is such a consummate performer, and he knows the level he's capable of doing. And if he felt on his last match he couldn't live up to that,
Well, to be
then
fair, that's exactly what he said. Like he sort of he felt that in his retirement match with Corbin that he wasn't the man he was essentially, and he actually even said that if he can't perform at the level he was in his prime, then he's not going to do it anymore. So I
yeah,
think he's being a man of his word, which, to be honest, is admirable, because that is probably harder to do than sticking in the biz in a lot of respects, because we've seen so many people who they can't, like well, we've mentioned this a time and again, where it's like that that feeling is incomparable, and a lot of people can't walk away from wrestling for that reason, and it's an addictive business. And the fact that he can go, look, I'm not the man I was, and I can't perform like I used to in my prime, so I'm just going to stop there, rather than just getting that bug and needing to go back. I think that's admirable. I'll give him his due on that.
yeah, definitely. I think he is in constant pain. I mean, I've lost track how many times he's broken his neck over his career. He lives in chronic pain every single day of his life, and that in combination with knowing that he couldn't give his best, I think it's the right thing. As much as I would love to see a better retirement match than the one we got with him and Corbin.
See, do you know what? Even the match itself, and you might disagree with this, and I've gone soft on Corbin. I'll be honest.
You bloody
Um,
love him at the minute, you tell you.
just he's getting so, like, even the storylines are about just doing him over. I just don't get it. But like the retirement match, in principle, was the right thing to do. He went out on his back to put over a talent, and that's exactly how you want to end it. And it's just the fact that the way WWE have used and pushed Corbin kind of makes it almost null and void what Kurt's done for him.
Yeah, I just think as
It's
well
a shame.
the choice in Corbin didn't feel right to me. It was a bit of a damp
No, it
squib. I
definitely
think
wasn't
if it
right
would
at
have
the
been
time.
someone like
But this is the problem. It seemed an odd choice, but if they'd have then used that momentum for Corbin, it
yeah,
might have ended up making sense, but they just didn't. So it's like when they made him King Corbin. Well,
mm,
okay, he's won the King of the Ring. That might mean something. No, doesn't mean nothing.
yeah,
Don't know why they do it, but to me that's a booking problem. But I think it was. I can see why it would have worked as a retirement match, because it's the right thing to do. I think a lot of the way they like to go out in the business to do that,
mm.
on your back to
Oh
young
yeah,
talent.
it's definitely the right way to do it. I just wish selfishly it would have been I don't know, something a bit more. But
Poetically, Gable would have been fantastic.
yeah, that's who I was going to mention. I think,
But yeah,
but
because you love a mirror,
of course I do.
all about your
Fucking
mirrors, you're surrounded
yeah,
by them.
yeah. Look at that guy. But no, I kid. But yeah, I mean, they wouldn't have done anything with Gable either. So yeah, I think it would have been a nice fitting end. It would have been a more hyped match that I wanted to see. But yeah, you can't knock the guy. As you said, admirable that he's he knows he can't go like he once could, and he respects that he can't do that, and he's not going to. So yeah, next one for you. Dwayne The Rock Johnson was recently interviewed on the Illuminati with his co-star Emily Blunt. They were hyping their upcoming film Jungle Cruise, and he noticed that the interviewer Joseph Deckelmeyer, that's it. Um, what a hard name to say. So yeah,
Smith.
yes, Joseph was wearing a Bret Hart t-shirt, and The Rock noticed this. Obviously, picked up on it, and just like what a gent he is, he then went on to just kind of say, firstly, he explained to Emily, what the shirt was and that it was for Bret Hart, and he basically he couldn't speak like any higher of him. Basically, saying that it's someone who didn't have to be, but was so good to him when he was a rookie at a time that no one else was. He said it was around the time of '96 he came in, as we know, Rocky Maivia, and at the time Bret was the world champ, but there was a lot of guys in that world. He doesn't name any names, but I think we all fucking know who they were. They're fucking clique, who basically who hated him, treated him like shit, and it was basically Bret who had his back when he was a rookie coming in, and showed him the right way to go about things, the way things should be done, and basically helped him get past the sharks in the water, as he said. But he said obviously great lineage between the two. You know, the Anoa'i family, the Hart family. You know, Bret knew that The Rock came from a great lineage of wrestling, had a real love for the sport, and you know, he basically, The Rock said he just wants to give props where he can, and you know, he can't thank Bret enough for what he did for him at that time. And yeah, you know, really lovely of The Rock to obviously call that out for Bret, because as we know, the locker room in '96 with fucking Shawn on top,
Sean.
we know was a toxic place, was not a nice place, and he was not a very nice man. So
He's found God now, though, so we're good.
yeah, of course. But yeah, you know, it speaks
Didn't
volumes of
realise
fact.
you were playing hide and seek, but he found him.
You know, it speaks volumes of fact we never got to see Rock and Shawn, and you know, there's good reason for that, because Shawn wanted it later on in life, and The Rock was like, no. So yeah, fair play and credit where credit's due, and I'm a massive Bret Hart fanboy, so yeah. I'm also a massive Rock fanboy, so this is obviously my perfect kind of news story.
And if you like Mary Poppins, you've just got the trifecta in this interview.
Do you know what? I do. And her husband John Krasinski, pretty good guy too. I like The Office and I like that Quiet Place stuff. So yeah,
wow, is that her husband?
Fun all around. It is, yeah.
Wow, fun facts there from Carl. I didn't even know that.
There you go.
Well done, John Krasinski.
Very well done. So yeah.
Next one then, Carl. I'm a bit behind the times on this one. So it turns out Natalya has suffered an ankle injury.
She has.
But great news, she's undergone successful surgery. Heart surgery, if you will. Anyway, so apparently she put a tweet up, hashtag unbreakable, saying that surgeons told her that she's an anomaly and she's asked to be put back in the fight as fast as she can, and the surgery will fix her. And by all accounts, we're looking. The suggestion originally from her injury was that she might be out for months. Obviously, still holding the tag team belt. Bear in mind at this point with Tamina, and we're now potentially looking at mere weeks after this surgery, which is, you know, to be fair, it is phenomenal. You know, well done. Obviously, we've seen sort of responses to her tweet in support coming from Bret Hart himself while we're talking about Hearts, and coming from Beth Phoenix and the like as well. So, you know, all in all, it's looking positive news. Apologies because I never mentioned the injury last week by all accounts, but you know, she's injured, but it's all good, which is the best kind of news, isn't it? Like, we're not just got the bad now, we've got the good as well. Surgery's gone well. We're going to see her back soon enough and defending them tag titles. What a win. Yeah,
definitely. Obviously, wish her a speedy recovery, and yeah, I'm curious to know what the injury was. Obviously, if she can recover from it in mere weeks, then obviously it doesn't sound like anything was broken or anything like that. Hopefully, just, you know, something.
I mean, obviously, this doc just knows how to cure a broken heart.
He is here all week. So the next one to talk about, Hangman Adam Page may be completely out of All Out. You might even say he's all out of All Out. But yeah, so obviously
he's not in.
He's not in. He's out, and he might shake it all about at one point. But yeah, I don't want to see that. But yeah, our old buddy Davey Boy, Dave Meltzer, said on his show,
Melt himself,
the massive Melt himself, said that as of right now, Adam Page is not going to be wrestling in any match at All Out. But there's no reason given as to why that might be, and why they might be leaving him off such a major show. I mean, yeah, it's Dave Meltzer in it. You know, as of right now, plans may change.
He can't make All Out because he's busy with cowboy shit.
He is busy with cowboy shit. Like, I know, obviously, he's expecting a child, not himself, but you know, his missus. So I don't know when.
Just relieved you meant Hangman. Like, Meltzer's getting on a bit, man.
He's never been with a woman. I kid. But no. Yeah. So I don't know when. Obviously, the due date is and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, it could be something like that, or it could be just, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the culmination of Act 2, as we spoke about in This Week in Wrestling, and
use your fancy words with us, Carl.
And yeah, maybe we'll see him at a slightly later date, or maybe it's just a load of bollocks and he will be there at All Out, and Meltzer knows nothing. Crazier things have happened. So yeah.
An interesting one, to say the least. I don't mind the slow storytelling. If he's not there at all out, they've kind of summarised this chapter, as we mentioned when we were talking this week in wrestling. Taking a break from that, if they've got a lot of shit going on, I'm not an issue with that at all. Just keep going. It's not like, well, that's done, and that's the end of him in Omega. But doesn't necessarily have to happen at all. So Carl is injured. Wrestlers, I don't know, trying to make a segue.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, Serena suffered a knee injury, and apparently has done for some time. And is talking about basically that she's the type of wrestler, you know, she's called, paraphrasing, by the way. And you know, after she has a match, she'll go backstage and she'll speak like I do, constantly working on being the best performer she can. Go straight to and they're looking at their phones to see like what's going on in social media. Basically, they don't have the same drive. If a fantastic not promo, but be there for all out. So we'll see what happens there. And I don't know. This what I'm going to call a character work is interesting. I mean, do you think she might sort of have a sight set on it and that title in that sense? Do you think that's what the whole promo is about? Do you think she's going for almost like a CM Punk-esque, like I'm the best in the world, no one can touch me kind of thing?
I honestly don't know. I think she historically hasn't been that kind of character, especially in AEW, where she's she's always been like the baby face who is really good, a great technical wrestler, and that's kind of all you get. But this, as you said, it was quite scathing and almost quite not heelish, but definitely not like a super baby face promo. So yeah, it's a weird one. I don't know what the end game is with it. I think it's more just to let put the roster on notice to say that she's going to be back soon and fighting.
Yeah. But an interesting one anyway. It sounds like this knee injury hopefully won't hamper. Is that hinder? Yeah. I don't know. It won't stop her anyway. So she'll crack on. She'll be there at All Out.
She's going all out to be there for All Out, isn't she? Yeah. So the next one. Bye. Adam Cole. Potentially, that was meant to be the boom, but I changed it to a bye. Didn't really work. Sounded more like Snake from Simpsons. Bye. But yeah, so by all accounts, Adam Cole is going to become a free agent this month. Typical contract mishaps that happens with NXT stars, apparently.
Isn't this exactly what happened with Aleister Black?
Pretty much.
Whoops, we realised it was expiring that soon.
So, it was rumoured that his contract was set to expire in 2024. But it turns out it's expiring right after SummerSlam.
Oh, that's a one.
Yeah, close enough, right? Now, I've read a few different things about this. So apparently his contract was actually set to be up a little bit sooner, but he agreed to work up to the takeover after SummerSlam.
Right.
But
it's happening, then he's going to settle the score with Core, and then that's him.
I mean, it seems like it. I think he's been offered a number of different offers by the company, and he's kind of turned them all down. And it would make sense, wouldn't it? Let's be honest. He's great friends with the Elite. His fiance or whatever girlfriend, Britt Baker, is obviously there doing really well. So it would make sense to be the perfect place for him to go, I guess.
Let's face it. Like, I'd sooner he go to AEW than go to the main roster, and he's kind of done all he can do in NXT. So you either stick around and be the OG of NXT and maybe push some newer talent when they do come in, or you go somewhere where you can face some people you've not faced, and he's not going to get the push that he should get in the main roster. And to be honest, it kind of wouldn't suit. All due respect to him, you put Adam Cole up against Roman Reigns, no one's going to want Adam Cole to win anyway. It wouldn't be a very interesting program.
No,
just
it's definitely he does feel a little bit too small for the main roster, to the point where I mean, no, it's true. Like, with
you
the
must be this tall to ride.
Well, it's true though, isn't it? I think, with the exception of AJ Styles on the main roster, and maybe Daniel Bryan,
D-Bry's gone.
Well, yeah, but you just don't get them opportunities on the main roster still to this day. So yeah, I think I'm interested to see if he does go to AEW, where he fits into that mix and into that shuffle, because by all accounts, AEW are going to be making some waves here. They're going to be getting some serious talent being brought in. So yeah, how's it all going to play? Like, you can't have Adam Cole and Malachi Black and Punk and Bryan and fucking Christian and everyone else they brought in going into some kind of world title scene, when you've also got the likes of Darby and Miro and all these other guys who are going to be going after that as well. So yeah, interesting if he goes there. I'm not sure where he's going to fit into the shuffle, but
Trouble is, we're getting to a point they really need Rampage. Like, yeah. I'm glad it's coming in August, because they're getting to a point when it's like, I don't know where anyone's going to fit. We're going to have to, we need to make some room.
Yeah,
which is not a bad problem to have.
I was going to say it's a great problem to have. It reminds me of like old school Attitude Era times. Like, you literally had on the same roster at the same time Austin, Rock, Triple H, Kurt Angle, fucking Undertaker, Kane, Jericho, Benoit. Like, the list goes on.
Like, that's the funny thing when people use it as a negative with AEW. Oh, there's just too many talents. There's not enough time and all this. And then people even being like, oh, Vince is deliberately like releasing talent so that AEW snaps them up and wastes the money. And it's like, well, that's kind of predicated on Vince being so sure that Tony Khan's stupid enough to buy everybody, which we've already seen he's not. He hasn't picked up every talent that's left. He's picked up the ones essentially the ones he wanted.
Yeah, I
don't think it's stupid moves by any means, but
no, I definitely think the whole kind of thing around AEW being all ex-WWE or whatever they call it is it's definitely not the case.
I'll be honest, it's quite clearly when you look at the people who like to make that joke, and they love to make that joke. Even that girl on camera who has got it in for Tony Khan now for the copyright stuff, who doesn't watch wrestling, like only very recently discovered that joke, and it's actually quite an old joke, the all ex WWE thing. But like, it's people who don't really watch AEW, like, and I get it, some people just don't like it and they won't give it a chance, or they've watched it and like briefly at the beginning and don't like it, but you have to watch the product to know that they're not all ex WWE. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because it's business, and people know about the WWE guys because they're the bigger guy. Like, in terms of name, they're the bigger guys. So when Christian goes over there, you know about it. Do you know what I mean? But if you watch the show week in, week out, you know how much Christian's on the card, and you know how prominent he is on the card, and you know he's not being like he's not overshadowing the talent they've got there that isn't ex WWE.
No, I think
it's a really fucked up. Sorry, but it is a really fucked up argument anyway. Like, can you imagine, right, walking into Subway and seeing someone behind the counter going, he used to work for McDonald's, and then just heckling the fuck out of him because he used to work for McDonald's? Doesn't fucking matter, does it? He had a job somewhere and he's got a job somewhere else. Doesn't really fucking matter. Of course, they are going to employ a wrestler in a wrestling company, you spaz.
I just love that in this scenario, Vince McMahon is Ronald McDonald. That's my favourite thing to me. I can just picture Vince dressed as Ronald.
Yeah, I just that doink, actually doink. But no, it's just, to me it's laughable. Like, when you look at it in any other career, you can go and work for another company and it's not a problem because that's your trade. But apparently you just have to be fiercely, when you're doing something, you have to be fiercely loyal, and it's like, you're a WWE guy through and through, and that's it. Doesn't matter how much they screw you. And or it doesn't matter that you work for countless companies before WWE, you've worked for WWE, so you are now forever a WWE guy that other people have employed, which is just insane. But hey ho, let's all keep having this argument. It's all good.
So yeah, Adam Cole leaving. Is he going to go to AEW? Maybe.
Who knows? More likely than some. So, Carl, next one. we had a hopefully little hint at some potentially good news and potentially a return in the future. We had WWE's Paige putting out a tweet quite recently in which he said, I'll tell you exactly what he said. It says, "You guys are getting stronger, squatting 185 pounds again. I know it's not a ton, but it's a big accomplishment for me who was worried to do any gym stuff because of my neck. But my feeling so awesome. I'm so proud of me." So, given especially we've seen the likes of Daniel Bryan career ending, it's done that exact same. It's done exactly what it expected to do, and it's got people thinking, well, he's feeling stronger than ever. He's getting a bit of confidence back in her neck. World's in place in terms of like what you can do and what you can recover from. Could we see it in the ring again? So this isn't a dead set, Carl, but this is certainly a step in the right direction and a bit of hope that we might not be done. She at the end of the day she had to retire at 28, which is no age at all, is it?
No.
So potentially exciting stuff, man.
I mean, we've seen the likes of Christian and Edge and people like that come back from neck injuries that
probably should have said Christian rather than Daniel Bryan because his wasn't neck, it was head, wasn't it? But
yeah, but like there is hope out there, and the fact that there's so many people who are told, regardless of injury type, that they'll never wrestle again. She's got a lot of years left in her. She is still really young. She started so young. She might have a lot of miles on the clock in terms of how long she's been doing this stuff. Like she's been wrestling since she was like 12.
She grew up in the biz, didn't she? Really?
Yeah.
It's a unique position to be in, like a position that's only matched by the likes of the Harts or, that sort of thing, really, in it. So
yeah,
tried to be a smart ass and list another family, and I couldn't. But Harts and other guys, other people.
But no, I mean,
there
you go. But no, she's got obviously a lot more years ahead of her if she can make her way back into the ring. And honestly, I really hope she does, because she doesn't get the credit she deserves for the change of women's wrestling, because it all gets attributed to Charlotte and Becky and Bayley and Sasha. And before all them, it was Paige.
Them four come along and they saw the state of women's wrestling and were like, no, we're not having this. We're going to change everything. And everyone just went, yeah, okay. Yeah. That's exactly how it happened. Like nothing. There was no work put in before that at all.
No, of course not. And I think, Paige and AJ and stuff, for example, were, definitely responsible for trying to elevate that women's division, because let's be honest, we had a fantastic women's division when you had the likes of Trish and Lita and Jazz and Victoria and Mickie James and all them there and absolutely doing great stuff. And then obviously you still had some decent stuff after that with like Michelle McCool and things like that. But then we reached a point.
I really didn't realise until I think you made that very clear to me, that there are peaks and troughs with women's wrestling for some reason, right? And it goes like, it started out legitimate wrestlers and then it went ridiculous. And then it went back to legitimate wrestlers. And I didn't realise how many really good, and this is a shame on me, but I didn't realise how many really good legitimate women's wrestlers we had, just before and into the Attitude Era. And then it was sort of coming out of the Attitude Era and into the Ruthless Aggression Era that it was all about tits and ass.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's let's hire supermodels who've never done a lick in the ring because they look good. And I didn't realise just how many, just before that, not even that long before that, were proper legit, good in the ring as well.
Yeah, it is crazy because, they definitely did go down that route of, obviously with the Diva Search and changing it all to Diva this and Diva that and let's hire models.
The Diva Search was that was probably the point when they made it very clear what they were about. Other than Eric Bischoff, I think actually did say something about tits and ass. So I think he made that very clear in a promo he cut when he was GM. But before that, when they done the Diva Search and they were doing that, well, let's all do some stuff with ice cream so you can all have an ice cream fight and stuff. And it's oh, for fuck's sake. That was clear what they were doing. Yeah,
definitely. I think obviously, people think of the Attitude Era as oh, that's when it was all about this. And there was elements to that. But, if anything, it got worse. Maybe it wasn't as raunchy, but, you had the likes of lingerie pillow fights and bra and panties matches.
What I'll give the Attitude Era,
matches.
What I'll give the Attitude Era is, though, they will have an evening gown match, but they don't give a fuck if that's women in that match or men in that match in the Attitude Era. So I think that was rather equal.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Anyway, bit of a rant-off piece there, but no, I think she deserves some more time in that ring and to come back and to retire on her terms, if that's what she wants to do. And hopefully, if she does, then we do get to see that happen, because, she's definitely one of the trailblazers of bringing women's wrestling back up and elevating it again. So, yeah, hopefully she gets that chance.
Indeed.
And then the last one to talk about, Anthony, unless anything else has come in hot off the press, is the one and only Nature Boy Ric Flair. Requested and was granted his WWE release. Now, interestingly, WWE have not wished him the best in all of his future endeavours. So they have commented on this, and they've just said...
Sorry, my head went to a very horrible place for a second.
You want to share or can't be shared?
I will share, but it was mean. I'm like, maybe they didn't feel they needed to given his age, and I was like, no, that's not nice. I shouldn't say that.
Oh, terrible, man. But yeah, so WWE did acknowledge the release, but basically just said they've come to terms with the release of Ric Flair. And that was kind of it. There was no, well wishes or anything like that. Since then, Rick has also released a statement. He said, I am officially able to respond to all the press related to my requested release from WWE, which they have given me. I want to make it really clear with everyone, I'm not upset with WWE at all. They solely are responsible for putting me in the position of life that I'm in right now, where I'm seen in the brightest light ever. We have a different vision for my future. I wish them nothing but continued success. Thank you for everything.
Wait, did he future endeavour WWE?
Yeah, I think he might.
That man's got some balls.
Yeah. I mean, it's the nature in it, let's be honest. But yeah, so interestingly, the thing of note there is that they had a different vision for what his future was. So obviously,
yeah, WWE was saying retirement with a few appearances, and he's going, no, I want to be back in the ring. No, Rick, retirement with some appearances.
He's just there like, woo, woo, like fucking, elbow dropping.
Honestly, when you
nothing.
said to me, it's like, when you were saying that, Ric Flair's released a statement, I was expecting a statement just to be, woo. I was like, yeah, I mean, that's the nature.
Yeah, I would love to see that, to be fair. But no, it seems like, to your point there, that WWE, by all accounts, he wasn't happy with the storyline that was going on between him and Charlotte and Lacey Evans before obviously Lacey ended up getting pregnant in real life.
Seems like his kind of story.
I know, yeah. A beautiful blonde woman is fighting over me. Yes, I'm really angry with this news.
It's how unrealistic having a woman considerably younger than him.
Yeah.
I'll leave that there.
Yeah.
Let that dangle.
But he apparently wasn't a big fan of that, and obviously he's been seen sporadically, in the last year or two with the company. As like obviously he was doing stuff with Randy, wasn't he, for a bit? He had that stuff with Lacey and Charlotte. So I think maybe he wants to do something else, and I'm going to throw it out there. I honestly can see him going to AEW.
Many people are speculating on this, and I think a lot of people are expecting no, because there's still a bit of bad blood between him and Arn. But you really don't know. Like, people are assuming that because we've not heard anything in a long time. Like, we don't know that they haven't patched that up either. That's not new. It's not something that would end up in the big press if they've met up and settled some things between them discreetly. You know what I mean? Like, or had a chat, or even in conversations now. So we don't know for sure that there's still falling out. But a lot of people are like, no, that'll never happen because there's still a lot of bad blood between the two of them.
Can you remember what that was all over?
No.
I could be completely wrong. I know he was upset.
You're our historian here, Carl.
Well, I know he was upset when he obviously... Was it a heart attack or something he had? Where basically he was hospitalised and he was in a coma, and he came out of the coma and he was upset that, certain people didn't visit him. So I don't know whether that was it with Arn not making the effort to call him and check on him or visit him or something like that. But yeah, I think, if you've got Arn, you've got Tully, if Rick goes over there as well, you're edging...
Yeah,
three horsemen. Yeah, so you are edging closer there to doing something like that, and I think he could fit in. He could even be the manager of Andrade because why not? Although Chavo's doing a great job.
Look, if the horsemen, then I feel like they've got to head towards Hangman, haven't you? Makes sense to me. The horsemen have got to hang around the cowboy, surely.
Maybe. But yeah, so. Who knows what this means? Like, I'm a big fan of Ric Flair. He's one of my favourites of all time. Definitely.
Out of curiosity, what's his relationship with Cody?
Honestly, don't know. To be honest, I've not heard anything one way or the other about it.
Yeah, because you feel like if Cody's got a lot of love for him, and obviously Cody has a really soft spot for that generation, or his dad's generation, and I imagine he's got a lot of respect for Rick. You think he'd be trying to get him there, wouldn't you? But I don't really know much about the two of their relationship, in all honesty.
No. You know what? This is a completely unrelated thing, but you just reminded me of something. I don't know whether you saw it as well, but the name escapes me of who it was. But I'm sure there was something on one of the original NXT shows where Cody was, the I can't remember what they call it. They have like the rookie and they have the what the fuck was the other one? The mentor or whatever.
The mentor, yeah.
So was it like I'm sure
like when they had the Miz and Daniel Bryan.
Yeah. So I'm sure something came out of like Cody was the mentor of somebody, or somebody was his mentor, or something in relation to some of these names that are getting rumored with AEW. But yeah, right. It's really an unhelpful news story when I can't remember any of the names. So
somebody said something about something.
Yeah, I was hoping that that jumbled description there might trigger something with you, but anyway.
Sorry.
All that aside, Ric Flair gone from WWE. So let's see where
they've lost Adam Cole,
next.
Ric Flair, and Bray Wyatt in the space of a week.
Yeah, interesting.
They're not small names. They are not small names, but it's okay because they've still got Jackson Riker.
They do, and he's a babyface, whether we want it or not.
Holding up Raw on his shoulders by himself now, practically.
He is. But yeah, that was the news this week. Some very tasty topics there, I think.
Delicious.
It was a good one, just perfection. And speaking of tasty topics, we're going to be coming back after this short break.
Yeah, get your Domino's pizza ready. We're going to be talking the death match.
I wish I would have done that, like the death match debate sponsored by Domino's Pizza. We're going to do that.
That would have been good.
But yeah, we will be back after this noise.
You're watching or listening
to A to the K.
The A to the K.
A to the K.
A to the K.
A to the K.
These guys are awesome. Check it out.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.